This is the Isuzu D-Max. Now, Isuzu have been around for quite a few years, making commercial vehicles and passenger vehicles in the past. However, currently their focus is the D-Max and a range of different variants you can get. This is a Utah. Anything up to the Arctic D-Max that you can get, the Arctic truck, which is just an insane off-road, on-road and general life machine. Anyway, back to this, the Utah. This is powered by a 4-cylinder diesel engine which produces around about 160 brake horsepower and 360 newton meters of torque. So while it's not up there with the big boys like the Amarok V6 in power, torque doesn't hold it back. And in fact, because this has a lighter engine, when it comes to off-roading, you sometimes find this considerably more nimble. This specific truck is £27,000 on the road, but that's not base spec. That includes the lock and rolling top for the rear bed. That includes prepping this for towing and the colour. Gig test, which is economy, load, comfort, reliability, technology. It's a load already, everything's in the back. It's got the lock and rolling top, so great. Now to drive it almost 3 hours to a gig and see how comfortable I am and see what fuel economy it turns around, because on paper this should be pretty frugal. Let's find out what it actually achieves. Arrived as set up, 35 miles per gallon is totally achievable with no weight and driving at 60 miles an hour. You'd see even higher. Inside, comfort wise, it's a comfortable place to be. It's relatively quiet and you've got Apple CarPlay going on the Pioneer stereo, so really it's kind of a luxury all round. The heated seats, they're handy too. Starting with some of the impressive things that this can do. 3.5 tons, it can tow that. A ton of payload weight, it can take that. And it can take that with ease. Because it's a bit of a lighter truck, not having that bigger engine, it means that when it comes to towing heavier loads, it doesn't struggle. The other perk with not having a big V6 diesel up front is the fuel economy. You're not going to be seeing really anywhere lower than about 30 miles per gallon around town with weight in normal driving conditions. In something like an Amarok or a Wild Track 3.2, you're more likely to see low 20s because it's a bigger, heavier vehicle to get moving around. Around town and with a bit of motorway mileage, I was combining regularly 32 to 33 miles per gallon, and on a run, usually no less than 45 at best. At very, very best, you know, driving at 50 miles an hour on a flat surface, resetting it, see what it could do. I was seeing 57 miles per gallon. So there is a perk in having a smaller diesel unit powering you along. Weekendability. Essential, because if you buy one of these, this will probably end up being your daily, including your weekend toys. So, this Sunday, there's car meet going on at Goodwood, and I'm going to see just how well this can deal with fitting in at a car meet in a truck. Let's go. Summary, yeah, sort of. So car meet was full already when I'd arrived, so I pulled in here with loads of mud behind me. And if I was in a normal car, I probably wouldn't have touched this through fear of being stuck and not getting out. But this, no trouble. If it can't pull itself out, rear-wheel drive mode, stick it in four-wheel drive or low range, do what you need to do. You're not getting stuck. This can go anywhere. So yeah, it can go to car meets. It's just not the centre of the car meet, unless it's a pickup truck meet. Then it can be. Being the Utah spec, it does come with some extra bits and bobs with that specification, with that model. You do get these folding power wing mirrors with nice chrome exterior kind of fascia. You do get a leather interior, you do get reversing camera. You then also get things like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, obviously depending on what system you want to run, and keyless entry. So outside, it's a typical D-Max. While the pure design of the D-Max hasn't changed heavily over the last few years, it has become more streamlined, and it is not a bad looking truck. The great thing is that with these big windows that the D-Max gives you, the visibility is really good. Match that with these giant wing mirrors and you can see everything that's going on, to the extent that you almost don't need the reversing camera, but it's really handy. The fuel economy test. So gig test is kind of a heavier test, gives you more real world, but economy test is perfect conditions, is that traffic is light and everything's a little bit easier. So right now it is 2:30, I am going to drive through the middle of a town, Portsmouth, and I'm going to drive one side to the other and then out on the motorway, and this is going to be a real world kind of best case scenario economy test, and there is weight in the back. I've got 2 amps, I've got a bass, I've got all my stuff in here, so while it's not a heavy load, it is a load of types. As a combined total, it's showing 45 miles per gallon, and I hit a fair bit of traffic, and I had speed going up to the motorway and then dual carriageway speed and loads of red lights. That's such an impressive thing, but that's aided mainly due to the fact that this does have a little baby 1.9 litre diesel engine. Suits around town more. Now inside, it is a nice and refined place to be. The seats are comfortable, the heated leather seats are great, and generally you just feel that it's a very well built interior, especially when you consider the demographic that this is being tailored towards are people who are probably going to abuse it and not look after it. You can tell that this would deal with it very well. When you're tootling around town and you're not putting the engine under any real load, it's a quiet place. There's really good sound deadening, and you know, having quite a lot of tyre on the road means you don't get lots of road noise. When you are sat on motorway speeds, 70 miles an hour, equally it's also not too loud. However, if you're on a back road and you're pushing it, the engine can be a little bit noisy, but it's not overwhelmingly noisy. The only time I noticed that the engine was a little bit more clackety is in the morning when it's just turning on. It sounds commercial, it sounds like a commercial vehicle, but isn't that what you expect when you buy a commercial vehicle? Living with the Utah on a daily basis is easy. Keyless entry, keyless start, everything's electric and everything's easy. The sat-nav's great, and in fact I noticed the quirk on it that, especially if you're a trader going to addresses all the time that you don't know, it tells you what houses are coming up on the left or the right, as in what numbers they are and on what side of the street they are to you. So if you're a building contractor and you're constantly going to new clients and you don't always rely on Google Maps to find where you're going, you'll have no problems finding your client's house. And when it comes to off-roading, that's where I became very impressed. Now, considering that it's only powered by a 1.9 litre engine, it does only produce 160 brake horsepower. Taking it off-road was an absolute breeze. It didn't get stuck at any point, and even some of the harsher uphill climbs that were on mud and clay, it didn't get stuck. And I put that against what I did things with the Ranger and I did with the Amarok, and they both struggled to get up that hill. They both managed to, but they struggled, and this didn't. Now I'm putting that down to the fact that it has less weight on the front end. While it doesn't have diff locks going all round, it does have 4 high, it does have 4 low, so you don't get stuck in a general amount of stuff. However, I feel more technical courses, this is where, you know, not having those facilities would show up. So consider this, £27,000 on the road. Consider the fact that you can get this or a higher spec for £299 a month, and suddenly you're kind of looking at a truck that's a no-brainer. In that if you do want something with a bit more power, then you are going to go for something with a 3 litre or a 3.2 litre powertrain. But if you find yourself not towing huge amounts of weight, if you find yourself just doing more going to and from site, but wanting to take quite a lot of stuff in the back, up to a ton of payload weight for instance, then to me it's a no-brainer that you consider the D-Max. It's cost effective, it's cheap to run, it's cheap to lease. All round, this is just a fantastically well built machine that I'm excited I found, but I really want to try the Arctic truck now.